Hello, everyone. Welcome back to X-Rays, where we transform insights into inspiration. That is your premier destination for exploring the stories of industry leaders, visionaries, and innovators shaping the future. Join us as we dive into the latest trends and breakthroughs across various sectors, helping you stay informed and ahead in the ever-changing business landscape. I'm Leah, your host, and today we're excited to introduce a leading innovator in software testing. With nearly a decade of experience, he is dedicated to enhancing the quality and efficiency of testing processes. He helps organizations manage risks associated with technology changes, while his work embodies the core values of accuracy and skill, driving operational excellence and promoting best practices in the field. Overall, his efforts are reshaping how companies approach software testing, setting new standards for efficiency and innovation in the industry. Let's welcome the founder and principal of BadTesting, Shaq Schiff. Hi, Shaq. How are you today?
Great. Hi, Leah. Great to meet you, and thanks for the outstanding introduction. So
Great.
it's
Thank
very
you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to speak with you. I feel like I have so much to say about you having researched, and I'm so more excited to hear about the software company you founded.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Amazing. We're glad to have you. So, could you perhaps start by giving us an overview of your service and its key features and benefits?
Yeah, sure. The name of my business is Bad Testing, because we look and test for the bad stuff, and we focus on problems and risks that threaten businesses and finding them before they bring harm. So for example, after a company launches a website, especially if it's a direct-to-consumer D2C website or e-commerce, they kind of let go. They don't monitor their website, have a lot of transactions, cost a lot of money. They have ads and spending linking to their websites, and they're controlled through content management systems. And what happens is, as these sites accumulate more content, they tend to break because nobody's looking. So, for example, we had a client that started losing their conversions. It's called conversion rate optimization on a product in their e-commerce store, and they reached out to us, and they couldn't figure out why they're. I decided to poke around because that's what we do, and we learned that the iPhones on Safari and Chrome browser, their checkout wasn't working. So they couldn't figure out everything on their end through the data, through Google ads or Facebook ads, and through their analytics. And we ended up finding out that there was an issue. The issue wasn't with the conversion, with the ads themselves, but instead it happened to be on an iPhone because Safari and Chrome were broken. And why that is important is because people launch these platforms and they think the site's live and it's okay, but they forget that, or they're not aware that browsers update. So your site may be okay, you may not have updated anything that, or its dependencies, but Chrome, for example, updates 3 times a month at least. And those updates tend to break things on other websites. Another thing that we do is we have key features and benefits, and this specifically is a website assessment. When we work with live websites to evaluate what the issues are, we do a number of browser tests that include functionality, compatibility, desktop and mobile, and responsive. And responsive is pretty important because the real estate space on a large screen has a lot of elements, and it may be good for us to look at. But when you try to put the same elements on a smartphone, everything changes. And a lot of products and websites that we see don't really take advantage of the smartphone viewport, and they try to cram everything that was on a desktop and a smartphone. And that ends up leading to a bad user experience. Another thing we do is we'll do system tests, looking at data from scans, the number of links, broken links, assets, and then we'll come back in like a week or two and see if those numbers changed after running other scans. We'll also do a large analysis of design, functionality, as well as like set up a system online for reporting issues. and a user experience evaluation. And the last two things we also include is SEO audit for page titles and metadata, because again, after sites get launched, nobody's really looking at the page titles, and companies are adding, for example, new products. And if a page title looks the same, if there's duplicate page titles, or if there's issues with closing tags and H2 tags, for example, then the search bots get confused and your product may not have the best visibility online. Just one other thing, this comes with the test plan. And actually, if anybody listening today wants to, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow my social media channels at BadTesting. If you direct message me X Raise, I will send you a free test plan template, and we could discuss this. So yeah.
Great. I mean, I can definitely see the true importance of your company. I mean, technology risks can be overlooked, especially when companies are so focused on their business and what they can easily see rather than what they can't see.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So what inspired you to create such a service? Were there any specific problems, challenges that you aim to address?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started working my tech journey in startups, and I worked for this startup for about 6 years. And after 6 years, I was a systems operator at that startup, writing reports every night. But after 6 years, another friend called me, and he was at a really large global ad agency, and he called me up and he said, "Shaq, we need your help." So I was onboarded. I went to this ad agency and I helped establish a quality assurance department and manage high value clients. And I ended up working there for 8 years. And the thing that continues to happen through today is people will call me up and say, "We need your help." They don't say anything about, "Hey, we're building, we need software testing, we need quality assurance." Those are generic industry labels, which don't really justify what we do. Um, and no, like, so yeah, no point did anyone to say software testing or QA, but they were building digital products. A friend of mine was starting a company. I ended up working a lot of hours, of course, because I was younger, at the ad agency and doing the side hustle of helping people. And eventually I just had to resign and take the leap. And it was great. It just continues today.
Hmm.
So
Great.
yeah.
So, in your industry, you know just how crucial innovation is, especially. Could you perhaps share some examples of how your service is innovative or different from existing solutions in the market?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In our industry and in software testing, or different industries that use software and build things, there's a lot of complacency, overconfidence that when building software products. And what I mean by that is they're going according to a blueprint. They're going to outdated standards. The larger the company, if it's a corporate company, they're focusing on misleading KPIs. For example, hey, how many tickets or issues did you open today? How many blockers, meaning you can't test further because the software is completely broken, did you open? How many were closed today? And test cases. In our industry, there's something called test cases, where we're writing a spreadsheet, test steps that are necessary to check against the software, and then you designate if it's passed or failed. But those tests are pretty binary. They're not really testing, it's just checking. And just yesterday, in fact, I had a client call that they mentioned that the organization they were working with had 800 test cases, and they were spending a lot of time changing them because the software changed. And my eyes lit up, and I told them, "Listen, that's not the right approach. When software isn't stable, and most software today isn't, and things are being developed, the last thing you need to do is spend a lot of time and money on documentation. You don't do that till later on when software is stable." So that's a key component of what we do. We don't really write test cases. You're going to save a lot of time and money, and our only focus is moving around obstacles. And then there's a lot of tools that vendors promise. They promise miracles, but they don't really deliver. And lastly, another thing that differentiates us is Software testing teams have decreased over the last 20 years because everything is agile. We have continuous deployments, continuous integration. People are building things faster and they don't think that they need to test. And so we have organizations we work with that when they call and they say, we need your help, they did their testing. They thought they did a great job because their CTO did their testing, their project managers did the testing. And in reality, they don't do a thorough job because they're just not engineers or testers. Their level of testing isn't sufficient enough. The product is typically released with bugs, excuse me, that they couldn't locate. And worst of all, they're spending time on something which they weren't hired to do. So, give them time to do what they're hired to do and what they love to do, and let the experts test your software.
Absolutely agree. And it's great to have such an adaptive approach. Obviously, it's been very successful for you. Could you perhaps explain any unique technologies or methodologies your company uses to develop and improve your service?
Yeah, absolutely. So software is it's always custom built, and even the architecture it sits on or the hosting is custom. And existing solutions today are either based on automation or tools, and they're, as mentioned earlier, they're really good at marketing, but they don't really deliver. And our approach is absolutely customized and adaptive. We use critical thinking. We use our brains. We iterate based on what's ready to test and explore. We deviate from anything that impedes forward movement. There's always something to test. There's always strategy. We work hand in hand with our stakeholders. We're not in a box somewhere, not talking to anyone. We're absolutely always talking to our stakeholders and, coordinating with them. What's the best strategy to get this product out? What's the best strategy based on our environments? Because sometimes the environment that we're looking at is limited, especially if it's a development staging or beta environment, where production in this case is live. Typically with software, things get deployed in stages and limited environments. And of course, going back to test cases, writing test cases for every scenario slows down progress. It's actually not active in exploring systems, and it's a time waster that focuses on documentation instead of software. So we move forward really fast by prioritizing the software over heavy documentation. That documentation could wait till software is out and deployed, and there other organizations or people could do that documentation.
Yeah, so you not only detect the risks, but you also do so efficiently, productively, as quickly as you can, which is honestly great. I'm just wondering, what has been the response from your clients regarding your services? Do you perhaps have any success stories or feedback you can share with us?
Yeah, yeah. So we have some very large agency and brand clients that have been with us for over 10 years. We've got some great testimonials online at badtesting.com, some of which state that, we hear it all the time. They've avoided untold hours of development time and scheduled delays that they would have had if they had not worked with us. We typically hear that we greatly helped our clients' ability to do the best work for their clients. And a couple other successes. One of our largest client last year was, it's a very large biotech company. They just got bought out for a lot of money, for $27 billion. I know it's a stunning amount. We worked with them for half a year last year. They're still a client. But last year, in the case study that I'll be posting online in the next few weeks, I'll discuss that we had 138 projects from them, websites and emails, and also HTML5 banner ads. Some of you may think, well, what's the issue with the website or email? Well, emails have to render properly, both on different devices, both on desktop version of an email and also mobile version. And plus, there's a lot of data on the back end because there's typically 2 or 3 organizations and marketing companies working with that data and the links and tracking. And out of those 138 projects, we created 800 issues. Believe it or not, like 48% of those issues were design. 30% was related to user experience, and only 22% was functionality. How is that possible? Well, again, you're looking at different devices, different operating systems, and you'll have elements that break, especially in these emails. You have buttons that don't work. You'll have text aligned against the border, so there's no padding, there's no space. If you look at the total number of combinations from Gmail with all the Android operating systems, Apple Mail, and even Outlook. Outlook tends to be the worst. There's just a lot of things that could happen. And with this specific organization, because they were a biotech company, there's some stringent rules where everything has to work for everyone, because they are in pharmaceutical biotech company, and most of their customers need their products. So it has to be accessible for everyone, which is why it's important to identify these issues and be so thorough.
Wow, that's incredible. You can really see the impact your company is having. So if you're undergoing technology changes and need help managing the risks, BadTesting and their expert strategies is definitely the company to look into. And also, if you visit their website and go on to Thoughts, you can also read some of Shaq's own blogs exploring topics such as software analysis and case studies. Shaq, thank you so much for joining us today and talking to us about your company. It's been incredibly insightful, and I've really enjoyed listening today.
Thank you too, Leah. Thanks for the opportunity. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, it has. And finally, thank you to our audience for tuning into another episode of X-Rays, your go-to source for all things business, innovation, and strategy.